I work at the Parks and Recreation Department. So part of what my goal is in the city is to, everyone creates in their own way. A lot of time, artists have to create privately, or in the case of like mural art, which a lot of people don't understand, illegal, right? Just painting on a building or painting on a place. They don't necessarily have permission. They don't have a shepherded process to make that happen. So that's kind of what I'm trying to change from the city side of things, is how do we promote this activity, how we promote this creative expression. Art tourism is a really important thing for a community. Greensboro's always been known for what? Like basketball, right? Tournament town, or we're really good with sports, but what do we do to promote our creative tourism? What do we do to let people know that live here that there's opportunity for creation all around this community, like what y'all are going to be working with us on at Windsor Center? And how do we let outside folks know that there is a strong public art scene here, and there's things that are really nice to be able to see. Y'all have a really nice gallery upstairs, and we have a lot of galleries down at the Cultural Arts Center that you experienced before, but they're behind walls. People got to be able to get there. They got to be able to want to go there. They got to be able to feel comfortable in that gallery setting. Maybe that's not for everybody. So what we're trying to do is promote and create more art throughout our community that's outward facing, that's exposed to everybody, even if you're just driving by, or if you're walking by, or you're one of our community hearts, as we call them in Parks and Recreation. That's a place where we want to promote that creative expression. So what you guys are doing right now, what you're learning, it's because you have a talent, because you have a care for it, and we want to help you guys and help foster that creative expression here.
Something that people also have understood is that, and it's just being nice to you, but one of the biggest part of this is that you're an asset, and they know it. Mm-hmm. Okay, every developer, every real estate agent, they know that beautification and being able to introduce art, whether it's sculpture, painting, murals, whatever. When a gallery opens in a community, you better believe that community is about to get flipped. Right? Things that Starbucks are coming and everything else is coming behind it. So soon as, in Chicago, gentrification was a huge thing. What happens is the artists lived in the cheapest part of the town that you could possibly live in. So generally we were in like ghettos. Like you be trying to find cheap rent, right? You can't do $2,500 a month. It's just as an artist, it's not a feasible. The market isn't set up for that, right? They're not feeding you like that. Galleries are taking 50% of what you make. I hope y'all know that.
But why though?
Because you're going into their space and they're bringing clientele to you. You're not going to the clientele. You have no access to them. You have no access to banks, hospitals, accountants' offices, right? They do. So the industry is the industry. We know this, right? So, but the reality is 40% is like the best. It can go up 50, 60% of what you put on your price for your piece. That piece sells, you're giving that money to the gallery. Okay? So what's something that the community understands is that when you put your work into that space, all of a sudden the value of that space becomes greater. It's called culture. And if they can buy it, they will. And that's a realization. All the beauty, all the good stuff, the advocacy, the activism, all that's wonderful, but also they know that the prices go up. And when, like I said, stuff starts to get flipped, gentrification is a very real thing. Artists have to move, old people have to move, poor people have to move, and then you got, it's real.
And just to piggyback on that, are y'all familiar with Art Basel and the Wynwood District in Miami? Yeah. It's like the picture perfect example.
How many people have gone to Art Basel? So all of y'all need to go. If you were thinking about becoming an artist, taking a career seriously, then you all need to go to Miami. It's not a super expensive trip. You need to go down there at least one time and just look at what's happening down there. Because honestly, it will give you, one, a window into how good you need to be working on your craft to get on a professional level. Two, to see what other artists from around the world are doing. And three, to figure out where you fit in terms of the art ecosystem.
And the thing about Art Basel is it's the biggest art show in the world. They do one in Miami and the other one is
Hong Kong
yeah.
and Switzerland. But there's other art fairs all over the place. What we're doing ourselves in Atlanta is creating a spot for ourselves and work like what we do. I do a lot of murals, but my focus in doing public artwork is different from what I see in Miami. My focus is more so on black people and black culture and where society should be looking at and what they should be focusing on. Because right now, like, to be honest, we're in a dangerous position with the type of president that we have in office. And I believe that art can influence the way people both think and how corporations and the government moves. There's a lot of power. Matter of fact, you just got to think about it like this. Like, everything is made up. You know what I'm saying? Like all this shit, all this was made up. So if someone else can make this up, that means you as a creator can do the same thing and more.
And you don't have to wait till later. Like you can do it now.
Yeah.
You don't have to like wait for permission or processes. Like you express yourself.
So
Don't get arrested, but
Don't get arrested. Yeah.
try that.
There are parameters.
It happens.
Within reason.
But you know, at the same time, you know, rules are made to be broken, but you have to learn the rules first before you break them. So,
I mean, but even what you were speaking to in Chicago, I mean, you know, we create our own destiny, and you know, as an artist, you know, who better to create than an artist? So, I mean, you know, like we can look at historically how things have went, and you see how the game is ran. Like when you going forward and you creating your new reality, it's up to you whether you let it go down the way it's always went down, or if you change the rules because you're the one that's creating the reality. You know, so again, like as I told y'all before, like that's why I love, you know, street art and being in public art, because usually we haven't heard from our perspective, the people that's in the culture. And so I take that with great affinity, just as most people that are the first in anything. Like you're really telling the story that you feel should be told from your perspective. And then it becomes something greater than yourself, you know what I'm saying? So where you're looking at it from your perspective, then you start looking at it from your culture's perspective, from your community's perspective, and then from your city's perspective, you know, and then that gets into arts advocacy and wanting to create something creative in your community. And then as you take over your community, it goes to the region and then nationally, and then you get on the international stage, because we were talking earlier, if the work is good enough, it's gonna speak for itself. And if you creating dope work, everyone's gonna recognize that, whether it's the highest up person or whether it's someone, you know what I'm saying, that's down on their luck and potentially homeless. I mean, I've created a lot of artwork within like homeless corridors, and really, even though I didn't get paid on those projects, or where he's saying 50% on the street, you might not get nothing. But usually the projects that you approach strictly from, you know, a place of it's not about the money, those are the best projects. You know, so I mean, really like in the art world, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, like if you in it for the money, 99% of the time, that's not what's happening. Like you're really doing it for yourself and getting your perspective out as an artist. You have something to say about the times that you're in, and that's what he was speaking to with regards to like the times that we live in now. For creatives, this is the best time, because this is where you're gonna draw the most inspiration. When you're putting together your design briefs and things of that situation, you're pulling from your inspiration. And so if you see a dark piece, it's because that artist was in a dark period. If you see a very light piece, very vibrant, then you know that they was in some good times. But either way it go, I mean, you know, to say that is really to have the experiences. And speaking with Darlene, like, you know, and being able to speak with Fabian and his team, Ash, I mean, you know, like it's about giving you those perspectives from those moments. So again, like you can do what you want to do with it. If you want to wait and go in the galleries and wait for, you know, some gatekeeper to pick you to come in and show your work, when you have something that's the value, why are they picking you? You should be picking them. Then usually that's the road you're gonna go down. But again, my advocacy is putting that art out on the street, where really the only person you got to go and speak to is a person like Josh in the city, if it's a city-owned property, and if it's public owned, privately owned, and you just going to talk to the owner of the building, and it's just between y'all two. You structuring a business agreement, and that business agreement is, hey, really I'm bringing something of value to you, and we're trying to get this budget covered, but whether we get it covered or not, depending on how much input you want. If you let me create my own masterpiece, then really we're just trying to get materials covered. Because what I'm going to do is something that I wanted to do on my own. So I'm just really trying to cover what I'm going to have to do it. But if it's something that they want, where they want all this creative control, and they want to give you input and approve the project, then you're supposed to tax them to death. I mean, that's where the budget go up. That's where you really make your money. Because, you know what I'm saying, they want their vision, and so they got to pay for that. And if they don't have the money to pay for that, then they're going to come off of their vision and let you do your vision. So that's where you get to where this gentleman is, you know, where he's doing the projects that he's doing, and it's great work, but not only for himself, but for his community, as well as the culture. And really that's a sweet spot of where you want to be, you know, with this thing called art. So
There's also, go ahead.
I think that's also very important to what you were saying as far as knowing the rules ahead of time, because then, you know, you can go through your city and you need to find out certain legislations about certain areas, painting on historic buildings and things like that. If you work things out directly with the building owners, you know the rules, moving forward, which helps sharpen your vision moving forward. So you find loopholes to get what you want.
But also, it's something I like to keep in mind when I'm doing my work, either legally or illegally. I like to do work that reflects the people that are in the area. So you have to consider that, these areas, there's like plenty of areas in the city that don't have any artwork. You know what I'm saying? That are just like devoid of inspiration, color, and beauty. So what I like to do is I like to go into areas and figure out what historically happened in that area, and then pick a person and then paint them in a way that reflects people that look like y'all. So like I'll take like Martin Luther King and give him a high top fade with a part. You know what I'm saying? Put Malcolm X with a high top fade with some dreads. The whole idea is that these people, when they were doing things that changed the world that you live in, that you enjoy, they were just about the same age as y'all. So the thing to keep in mind is that you don't have to wait till you're old to start changing the world. Like, matter of fact, it's really on y'all. Like, I'm 43. I ain't gonna be in the streets painting walls for that much longer. You know what I'm saying?
Plus, it's like construction work when you really get in it.
Yeah, man, my knees can't take that shit.
Yeah,
Like, it's
so
so, like, y'all got a lot of problems, like, coming up. It's getting hot as hell. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all spend any time in the summer. I know I have, because I be painting in the summer. And the sun feels different on your skin. Insects, like they're saying, like by 2050, half the insects that exist are gonna be gone.
That's a major
Sea
issue.
life is not looking good. The coral reef is half dead. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got a lot of work to do. You know what I'm saying? In a very short amount of time. And if y'all want to have kids and want them to thrive, y'all gonna have to change this whole system. You know what I'm saying? The status quo is not gonna work. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen in 2050, but it can't be this. So y'all gotta put on y'all thinking caps and figure this shit out. You know what I'm saying? I'm halfway to my destination in terms of my legacy. But y'all got the heavy lifting. But the thing about it doesn't have to be all gloom and doom. The technology already exists that you need to change the situation. You already have solar panels. You have geothermal heat pumps. You have really all of the necessary engineering tools for y'all to fix the situation. How can you use your creativity to work that into your creative process? Think about technology and how it can enhance your work and also solve the problem of the community that you're working in. You know what I'm saying? Be different. Look around and see what's happening, and don't do that shit. Do something else.
I think it's really important too, like when we work together, of course you have your history and things like that, but it's important in using your art for your power and your voice to be solution minded and forward thinking in your artwork. you know, whether it be a political issue, a community issue, whatever it may be, you know. Take for instance, bless you. For instance, you don't want to go and paint naked bodies right next to a church and things like that. Like, what do you know? Let's think stuff through.
They actually have.
Yeah, in Atlanta, that's in Atlanta. But be very, very strategic and forward thinking, and we're super powerful. Artists are powerful, and we slept on, you know. And like what we did in Atlanta recently, like it hit and it went international, like right away.
Within a day. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of room to move in terms of opportunities that you can create for yourself. There's a lot of resources. Obviously, the fact that this man is coming down to y'all class, I can't explain to you how crazy that is. We do not have that where we are. We do not. The city does not come down and talk to the colleges. That just doesn't happen. So take advantage of this amazing opportunity to talk to this man and figure out how you can use your work to fit in. He's got resources.
And it's a mutual interest. You know, us, like, we sneak our way in the offices. Hey, we need to talk to y'all.
We bum rush.
Yeah. Like, it's no, we got something to say, and y'all need to listen. We need to sit at this table, so scoot over.
Right.
You
Now,
know?
I can tell you as well as a working artist out here. Again, I mean, and so, you know, either you doing the work or the work doing you. Like, you know, so I'm all about working, you know, smarter, not harder. I mean, again, this art stuff can be whatever you want it to be. But the thing is, you know, he's had a viral project. I've had a viral project with a local artist. His name is Jex, Brian Lewis. We did the Mac Miller tribute piece that's down by Boxcar Arcade. I mean, and that went all over the world. And when I brought artists in from Dublin, Ireland, from Switzerland, all of them have talked about that piece, you know, because it was catching lightning in a bottle. And, you know, the behind the scenes of that project was done with $500, and that $500 came out of my pocket. So as a creative, I didn't even get paid, but I made sure the artist got paid, but it wasn't to the scale of what it was that he did, you know, because again, we were just having a conversation. You know, this is also an advertising conversation. You know, marketing firms for the demographics that we reach, that he's reached, as well as myself, like those marketing firms will be getting paid $1 million for that contract. You know, because you're reaching demographics from 8 to 18, from 18 to 25, from 25 to 35, and on up. You know, everyone's being in touch with that art. So you got to put value in what you're doing, and you know what I'm saying, it can turn out good for you. And that's where historically we went wrong, is we didn't understand what our value was. And that's okay, you know what I'm saying, because every day is a new day. And so going forward, when we have these experiences, when we get these reference points of people who's done these things, that can help us start off a little ahead of the path than where we usually start at, which is the bottom, which, you know, you grinding from the bottom. It's hard to come up because it's constant things that's pushing you down. You know, so I mean, you guys on the right path. You in school and you in this class right here, and you getting this opportunity that you never knew you would get. And you know what I'm saying, it's up to you what you make of it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, every one of you can go, if you stay here or if you stay in another city, every one of you could go home after school is out and get with a principal at an elementary or middle school or whatever it is and say, hey, I just want to donate some art. So instead of you painting in the studio and doing it and then no one's going to see it, like, you go improve the lives of children, which is called quality of life. And then when you get that quality of life up, that creates a very viable community as well, and you are a part of that. And then you have influence in what you're doing, because now people attribute you and your work to that type of work. And so where you originally, you know, donated that work, now becomes, hey, I saw what you did at the school, I want to hire you to do my son's bedroom or something, or my daughter's bedroom. And then it just snowballed from there, because you always hustle. This is a gig economy. It ain't no more jobs coming out. You know, you got to hustle. If you don't hustle, you don't eat. And so every situation that you create, you know what I'm saying, you add on to it. So, I mean, all that to say is that, again, you know.
What's the Windsor project about? What do you want the students to do?
Excellent. So going into that, I mean, I would kind of defer to you. I mean, as far as what you feel, I don't know this class's level as far as what you guys are used to working with. I mean,
Are these high school students or college students?
college.
They just look
Okay.
young.
Yeah, I look young. I look
Found
real
these
young.
up
Like,
here.
That's
Some
how
water
they
down
look.
here.
When
They black, man. You know black
Yeah.
bumper cracks.
I said when I was that age, I feel like I had like a little more faith.
Yeah.
Some of them look grown.
So you tell us. Well, I mean, actually, so the gift and the curse of working on municipal projects is that it's getting another road bump. So we have an extra week, so we can hash that out, you know, and get a game plan. But the main thing is we want to get this experience, and what I would probably say is you just let me know by your next class, and
Where's
then
Windsor at? Where's the location, the site?
Windsor is over by Dutton.
By Dudley?
It's on Gate City Boulevard
Okay.
at the
And
corner
correct,
of
is that
Benbow.
Benbow?
No, Dudley. It's the corner
Right
of
there where
Dudley
the-
and Gate City Boulevard.
Okay.
It's a big rec center. There's a big. It's a historic, and it's an old building. It's really old, and sort of the narrative I want you all to think about in whatever level of participation you have in this project is that is a space. That's a community space. That's a space for children to come together to go swimming or to play basketball. It's a place where people from the neighborhoods around there come and meet and discuss, you know, what's going on in their neighborhood. It's meant to be a community building that all this interaction happens on. So one thing that we've realized is that as historically significant that building has been, as key geographically as it is, there's nothing that speaks to all walks of life and all folks that might use that space that's on the outside of the building. It's got a little bit of cool architecture, but other than that, it's kind of like a boring building.
That's the building with the round entrance, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
You
mean,
guys know
really,
what we're talking about? Right across from the library. Okay, so you're on Gate City, going out towards 40,
yeah.
right? So the library is on the right here. Across the street, there's you know, the churches. There's when you go heading out to 40, the thing that gets you, it's a light colored brick building.
Yeah, white.
And then it has a round, the entrance to the building has a round entrance. It's all brick. And the pool is on the side.
The instructor's gonna Google it, and we all in this age work off the visual, so you'll know when she shows. So the thing is this. So the opportunity is this. So we're currently finalizing what our final authorizations are. We thought we had those, but working at the municipal level, someone wants another check off, so we have to push things back a week. But the opportunity is this. If you guys that are interested, if you could design basically if you could design a mock-up of, so the theme is the ANT4 that the community chose. And so basically we've kind of expanded it a little bit to the civil rights movement around the ANT4. So the primary is the ANT4, the secondary is the community surrounding the 1968 ANT4 sit-in. So, you know, you had influential people in the community that were involved. You had attorneys that were involved.
Did they have like a student sit-in at the
Yes.
at the cafe?
Well, it's actually more than the 4 students, as I'm pretty sure you guys all know. But that is what is promoted as the ANT4. So like I said, we want to give some shine potentially to the people surrounding that in addition to those 4s.
What's that neighborhood right across the street? Because that neighborhood across the street was one of the most upperly mobile, prominent black neighborhoods in Greensboro. Right across the street. That's where
Olell Richardson.
That's where Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. I forget who. Actually, one of the attorneys one of the attorneys that represented the ANT4
That's Kenneth Lee.
was actually stayed, or his house was over in that neighborhood.
Yeah, it's Kenneth Lee. His house. He just passed away last summer, and I actually did a mural for him over probably like 2 blocks away on the other side of Bennett. But yeah, so again,
That's his
attorney
neighborhood.
Kenneth Lee, multiple people.
Okay.
This situation. So then, you know, fun facts or historical facts surrounding that. Attorney Kenneth Lee also desegregated the schools in Greensboro. So that history is surrounding that whole thing right there. So, and the school that he desegregated was Gillespie School, which is now one of the worst Guilford County schools in the city. But usually that's how that goes when the get back is long-term and institutional. So
One other point that was brought up to me recently, we were talking about, and so this is the theme, right? So this project was derived out of a thing called participatory budgeting. And that's like a very community-led thing where, and people in that community said, hey, we want a mural on a rec center and we want it to be themed like this. But I was having a discussion, and one thing that was really interesting and be interesting for you guys was actually the administration at this university. You know, when the sit-ins happened and these students from this university walked downtown and started this movement, there was a lot of pressure on the high up administration of the university to squash their students and to change this, and they didn't do that. And I don't know who that administrators are. I don't have my notes with me, but you know, that's a really important mindset. When spring break happened, Dudley High School students that lived here, you know, they came and they helped out with the sit-in. I mean, do you have a question, man? You guys?
No, I was gonna say that hearing like what everybody's saying or the anecdotes that everybody has, I think from what you say you want to do or what the community wants to do, I think should focus more on the people behind the A&T4 rather than them themselves. We already have them here.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's all that we ever talk about.
Correct.
Is those 4 people. I mean, we commemorate those 4 people
Yeah.
without that added addition of the people that are around them. And I mean,
And that's where you guys come in.
It's a rec center.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It's a rec center. It's supposed to represent the community around those idols. Those idols get to live out what they want to do, and they get immortalized in other places. But that being a rec center where that community is, that should represent the community. It should be about the people that supported them, the people around them. They shouldn't be necessarily a focal point, but they should be there. But it should focus more on the community rather than
I totally agree.
them themselves.
And we'll be painting a mural inside, not on the outside.
Outside.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be the full experience.
Okay.
Whole kit and caboodle.
So outside, you're saying outside?
Yes.
On that front side, on the Gate City side?
We're finalizing, but
Okay.
yes, so not on, no, excuse me, not on the front side, on the side,
Side.
so
Eastern.
there's an
Facing
eastern
the
side and there's 4
So on the
panels.
side facing the church?
Yes, the side facing the church. So there's 4 panels there, and one of those panels, depending on, you know, how phenomenal of a job
That front
these
side will be
antiques
fire.
do.
That's where it needs.
Yeah, we trying to crawl before we walk. There's so many resistance and shots coming from different places. We just trying to get it in. But we go. My idea is to paint, if I had my way, every rec center, all the walls. But again, we got to crawl before we walk, and so one day. Fred last, so yeah, we'll get there. So yeah, is there any other questions? But
You said the rec center, like on South Benbow, like that street.
yeah,
That's the only place I can think of. Okay.
yeah, and she just Googled it, so she's gonna show you an image.
It's
What?
West Sebastian.
Yeah. And so what we'll do is we will take a field trip. No, we'll take a field trip of the site. Whenever I do public art, the first thing I always do is go to the site. I mean, you can't really start like creating ideas if you don't even know where the idea is gonna go. So that will be the first thing that we would do is take a class trip to the site. We'll see which students are interested in being a part. I think it's something great and big, especially with it being so close to A&T. Y'all can literally walk to the site every day or drive and, you know, put the work in. Once we look at the site, then you come and start thinking about different themes and ideas. Y'all start designing as a class, working, switching things around. We'll put it, digitize it in Photoshop Illustrator. Then we'll present it to the team and they let us know, hey, this is good, switch this, It's always good, like the young man was saying right here, to do research. Like I've told you all the time, we're visual researchers to go out into the community and ask them, the people that hang out there, spend time at that recreation, what would y'all like to see? You know, that's the next step I do. Go visit the site, get that visual research, start taking notes, then I brainstorm, come up with ideas, and then I start designing.
Also, think about, go out there at night, see how the light hits it at night. Look at how the sun hits it during the day. Think about like different paints that you can use: fluorescent, metallic paints will reflect the light. I have a couple of murals in Atlanta that are designed to catch the light in the morning, and then other paintings to catch the light at night. or headlights. You know what I'm saying? Like, be creative in terms of how people are gonna interact. It doesn't have to be the same old thing.
Fabian also has murals in Atlanta that glow in the dark if you take a black light to it at night. So you can, you know, just be as broad and study and, you know, get with mentors and things like that.
Just be think outside the box. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't seen something that you're trying to do that might be, you know, something that you should try. You know, push I don't know, Philip to maybe put some lights there, you know, at night. Sorry about the Philip. You know what I'm saying? But like if there's something you want to try that isn't necessarily in the budget or in the scope, pitch it. You know what I'm saying? They might go for it. But really try and be as forward thinking as possible, because like honestly, there's a lot of people doing murals right now. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a lot of like agency to do pretty much whatever you want. So just try some new things. Shake up the scene.
Yeah.
Surprise me.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's all in what you want to do. I mean, you know, the beautiful thing about working for yourself, and art is that the worst thing somebody can tell you is no. I mean, they ain't like gonna kill you or pull a gun out if you submit. Oh my God, what are you doing? You know, pull the thing out on you. Nah, they're gonna say, nah, we can't do that for whatever reasons. And if someone says no today, it may not be no tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Or if one group says no, another group may say yes. You know, so it's just, again, it's a hustling game. You got to get in front of the right person at the right time. Because I'm talking, but don't sleep. Darlene is very influential downtown. She's becoming one of the favorite daughters downtown, and so you know, hey, you got a great asset here too. I mean, so you know, but again, like if you're doing prolific work, you know what I'm saying? If you getting up, like really, the street art game is all about getting up. That's all it is. Like you gotta get enough art up where your name ring bells. Where like ain't nobody, like, again, you ain't going to look for work. People like, yo, I gotta find this person because everything they putting up is dope, and then it just work on its own. I mean, so you know, yeah, I mean, this would be a fun project for you guys, and however you approach it is how it's gonna go. You know, and it's an opportunity, and opportunities are only what you make of them. So, with that being said, I mean, you know, you now have another resource downtown, including
which is crazy.
Yeah, y'all.
You can go downtown and pitch ideas, because they're always looking for great ideas, and the youth here have a lot of sway because, again, like your conversation is wanted in the conversation. Yeah. So, like, if you go on and being proactive and suggesting things, that thing you suggest might get through, and then from there, that might be your big break. So, you know, yeah, it's all about creating that content, as you guys are aware with the social media stuff. And it may not be someone in this community that sees it. It might be someone in LA. It might be someone in Europe. It might be somewhere, anywhere that says, hey, I like what you're doing. I want to bring you where I'm at to make some things happen. And then it just take off. So, again, yeah, you got the tools, you got the ideas, you got the opportunity, and now we're just gonna see what happens. And then what we're thinking more than likely is this is gonna wind up with the participants of that rec center, where we're gonna let them choose which one of y'all's joint goes forward. And then when it goes forward, we're just gonna get the logistics together and see if we can make it happen. And it's a real life situation. Your classmates will be helping you on your first project, and that, again, I never had those opportunities.
Yes.
Never had those opportunities. And that's what people don't understand. Like, these opportunities are happening because the energy is happening right now. It's not to say this energy is going to be here next year or the year after that. So you got to move while it's getting good.
Don't let this be whack, man.
This is an opportunity. So
don't let me see this in Atlanta and be whack, man.
We're going to call you
Not
back.
in my direction.
Does
Please.
anybody have like questions or concerns about your career as an artist, or things that you feel stuck on, or does anyone have any questions?
Not in my career, but could I get y'all contact information?
that's what I'm talking about, my man. See what I'm saying? You got to be proactive. And see, the man that's prepared, you know, I'm supposed to have business cards. Everyone here is supposed to have business cards. And then if they tell you they don't have business cards, then you're supposed to follow up and get their contact information. So, yeah, that's there you go, right there.
I don't have no business card, but you can find all my stuff on online at Occasional Superstar. Just Google Occasional Superstar. Go to Instagram, it's Occasional Superstar. Facebook, it's Occasional Superstar. Nah.
He said, did you hear what he said?
There you
He
go.
said-
Don't take no, because if you miss out,
Yeah.
you may never get in front of that person. So yeah, you got to push it.
You have a question?
Your first year as an artist, whether it was instant or as you fell into it, what was your first year?
Still in my first year. You know, I really kind of fell into this, working with Fabian. Fabian's been doing this about 5 years in murals and street art, right? Right,
Yeah,
Fabian?
I mean-
But he did design, working for an agency prior to that.
I was a art director for 13 years before I started doing street art. I went to East Carolina University for illustration. I got out in 99 and went into web design. And when I came out, it was the end of the .com era. Y'all know about the .com era when all the Google and everything came out. So I came out right when that was ending. So I got caught up in an advertising sort of shuffle. I would bounce from agency to agency to agency. I worked on just about every major campaign that you can think of: Nike, Warner Brothers, Universal, Sony, Verizon. But what I noticed was the higher profile projects I got, the more I found myself online arguing with people over social issues. And I realized that what the arguments and conversations I got into on Facebook and Instagram, basically my opinions were being unheard or ignored. And I wasn't really, everybody comes to online with their own opinion. Nobody really gets swayed. But when you put up a piece of work in public, you can't argue with a mural. Murals, for me, are billboards for my ideas. And they're also advertisements for my brand. So think about McDonald's. McDonald's is pushing you to buy an Egg McMuffin or a Big Mac. I'm pushing a new way of thinking, or someone you should focus on, or some civil rights leader that you didn't know about. When I went to Atlanta, like in 2001, I lived right around the corner from Jose Williams Drive. The whole time I lived there, up until 3 years ago, I'd never seen a picture of Jose Williams. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know the impact that he had on the city in the civil rights movement. Jose Williams was a G. He was the general in the Poor People's Campaign. That was the last thing that Martin Luther King did before he was assassinated. That's when he was working with poor blacks and whites. It's really what got him killed. Jose Williams was the guy that was running the ground operation. He had the Jose Feeds the Hungry and Homeless program. It's still running today. So I made this 60-foot mural, 60 by 40-foot mural of Jose Williams at this place called Studioplex, not too far from Jose Williams Drive. And that was the first major mural dedicated to Jose Williams. Nobody's ever seen his face since he died. So that was a learning opportunity for a lot of people, including myself, to be familiar with people that have not had the same amount of exposure as Martin Luther King Jr.
So
There's a lot of people around here, you know, because I, like, in every city that I visit, I always look around and I say, like, who can I bring to light around here that people don't know about that they should? You know, there's a whole bunch of people in the movement, mostly women, actually, in most civil rights movement. It's the women that really run it. How many murals do you see of women that were involved in civil rights? You see very few outside of Coretta Scott King.
And y'all gotta go see mine at the International Civil Rights Museum. I painted the women
Yeah.
right in that movement. I did.
Hey. But that's what I mean. There's a lot of places to explore, and there's a lot of subject matter to dive into. And you guys have a fresh mind. Y'all think different. Your dances are different. Whatever that word, floss, all that bullshit. You know, like y'all gotta bring your own flavor. Like I'm you know, my generation is on the WAP and the Cabbage Patch. You know what I'm saying? Y'all on something totally different. You know what I'm saying? So if I bring my culture to y'all culture, some of it might not cross over.
Yeah.
So it's up to y'all to bring your own personal flavor to the conversation.
No.
Then the kids come up behind y'all. Y'all take what y'all learn and give that back to them. You know what I'm saying?
You had a question?
Yeah. So I have a question. What would you give? Like, what type of advice would you give to a student who's like new to like visual arts, like specifically like drawing, like concept art, stuff like that?
First off, congratulations on your last year being broke. This is what I did when I was breaking into being a fine artist from being a designer. I had a sketchbook. I have a stack of sketchbooks that I got from my friend. So every day I woke up 30 minutes in the morning with my coffee. I would do a 30-minute drawing every day. So to me, it was a sort of like it's like weight training. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to like get your weight up, get your arms kind of pumped up, you gonna like hit the gym every day. And sometimes your work, like the more you do it, your workouts extend. It's the same thing with drawing. You're basically training your mind to work with your hand to create an image. The more you do it, the more your mind gets used to coming up with ways to communicate what you're trying to express. And what I did was I handicapped myself online. So instead of posting a bunch of words about something that bothered me, I restricted myself to doing a visual image that communicated the same thing. So it's like having, creating like different class assignments for your opinions. The more you do it, the more you develop your visual language. So when I posted work online, you know, the likes started out small, but about 3 months later, I was getting 200 or 300 likes per image. And I was also spending like, it went from 30 minutes to an hour, to an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. So at one point when I was starting to like stop that type of work and move on to painting, I was spending whole days working on drawings. But I also had thousands of people waiting for me to drop a piece online. So what you do, everything about social media is about consistency. Everything about an art career is about consistency. How often are you going to bring consistently quality work? You know what I'm saying? And the more you do it, the more you get used to speaking in a way that people are used to. You teach your audience how to learn, how to listen to you. If that makes any sense.
Right. Do you think talent really matters though?
Yeah, it really matters, but consistency matters more. Consistency matters more. There are a lot of people that don't have as much talent as the average person that can draw really well. But if they're going out there every day and putting in the work, they're gonna build an audience. I mean, look at your average rapper that can't rap worth a shit, but still has millions of views, followers, and people that show up to their concert. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Playboy Cardi is writing down rhymes. I really don't. I think he just gets in there and vibes and then puts out what's on his heart. And really, at the core, as an artist, if you can translate how you feel to other people, you're gonna have people that are gonna be dedicated to you. You know, it's kind of like you being a preacher. You know what I'm saying? You're using emotional resonance to bring people closer to you. You know what I'm saying? The more you do it, the better you get at it. It's like a muscle; it grows, and after a while, it just flows through you.
What'd you say your Instagram was again?
Occasional superstar. Occasional superstar. 2 C's, 1 S.
And that's what I was raising my hand for. That was a good question that he asked, and that was a great response. Because I'm telling the students now, they have